What's going on, guys? Mott's are doing another video commentary. This time it's a different commentary because I'm gonna be starting off with the Vector K10 running Fast Mags and Quick Draw. Then we'll switch over to some Battlefield gameplay with the G36C. It's Battlefield 3, for if you guys are wondering. And we're using G36C with a foregrip, hollow sight, and heavy barrel. I haven't run that setup, but I really like it. Then let's switch back to this gameplay and use the Type 25 with the same attachments to my Vector, Quick Draw, and Fast Mags. And the reason I like these attachments is because I feel like you can acquire targets easier, and the Fast Mags lets you reload in sticky situations. Anyway, a couple updates. I apologize for lack of videos, but I've been sick, I've been hit with schoolwork, all that fun stuff. But it's Friday. Happy Friday to you guys. Happy Good Friday to all you Catholics out there. Happy Easter for all you Christians, all that fun stuff. But if you don't, then just have a good weekend, everybody, and I hope your week went well. Anyway, today's commentary is realism in video games. This topic really, it's a very different topic because nobody really stops to think. I mean, you all say, "Oh, this isn't realistic. This isn't realistic." But I'm gonna start off with Saints Row, like third-person shooters first, and then I'm gonna get into first-person shooters just so I can save the best for last. And yeah, so Grand Theft Auto Saints Row. Saints Row number 1 was never. I don't believe it was. Excuse me. I don't believe it was ever intended to be real, because one of the developers just made it wacky, crazy. Saints Row. They didn't make it Grand Theft Auto where it's a bit more realistic. Even so, Saints Row is fun because you can goof around, you can do whatever you want. I mean, you can steal cars. You could. Saints Row the Third is just it's awesome. I mean, you can get jets, you can fly into buildings, and you can get unlimited health and just get shot at by rockets from the SWAT team all day and still not take a single piece of damage. And it's a fun game because I don't think it was ever intended to be real. And I say this because, like I said before, there's nothing in that game that is necessarily real. Maybe the physics of when you jump, when you land on something, your character's gonna bend instead of just, okay, if I land on a stick, it's a stick that's kind of straight up and down. But Grand Theft Auto, on the other hand, that's it's Grand Theft Auto is the biggest name I believe in when it comes to free roam kind of just open world video games. And let's face it, Grand Theft Auto's been around since I believe 1999, 98. Correct me if I'm wrong, but somewhere around they started around the late 90s, and I think we can all agree that San Andreas, as of now, is probably the best one because it's just big. It's got a huge assortment of vehicles, this and that. It's just there's so many different details I can go into. But what I think what makes Grand Theft Auto fun is the ability that it replicates reality somewhat, in the sense that especially Grand Theft Auto 4, in the sense that the car engines the cars drive like cars. For example, if you do a burnout and you hold the triggers, or I believe it's the mouse buttons down long enough, then your car's wheels are gonna blow out and just go to sparks on the rims. You're gonna be driving around rims, and then they especially when you crash too. When you crash into something, it's not programmed like in the older games where if you hit one side of your bumper, it's the entire bumper's gonna get smashed in the center when you hit nowhere near that. And that's always nice because I mean, it's just always gotta know. I apologize for my dog in the background. But the whole generation of realism and the new consoles rolling out soon, I'm hoping it's gonna get better because, in my opinion, I like some realism into games. And I'm gonna start talking about the first-person shooters. Call of Duty and Battlefield. I'm gonna say this flat out right now. I understand where you guys are coming from with which one's better, but at the end of the day, they're both the same thing. They're both first-person shooters with a military theme, and they both use guns to get rid of your opponents. I mean, face it, Rush is basically demolition with Call of Duty. Conquest is basically domination, but on a much bigger scale. And because you're capturing and demolition, you're planting or deactivating bombs, In domination, you're capping or capping from your enemy certain areas. And but the one thing I think I have to admit though is Battlefield requires teamwork. And as opposed to Call of Duty, I play solo, but you're gonna see me playing with my buddy John, who is we see staying constantly. You see him talking right now, and have scoreboards and all around, and maybe some lobbies. I usually play on the weekends, guys. So if you want to play with me, just let me know. Gear and tag will be in the description. Maybe we get a full team and play something. But back to Call of Duty, they don't. I feel like Call of Duty, they don't. Don't get me wrong, Call of Duty is the best. Not the best, but it's probably one of the better franchises out there. They Black Ops 2. If you watch my opinion video, I'll talk all about it and just all that good stuff. But they really did evolutionize it. But I feel as though Infinity Ward is really the person who takes up that next step, and Charge just kind of levels it off. But anyway, Battlefield requires teamwork because I played with a lot of people, and there's some people who are just kind of dumb, and when you get shot and killed, they just run away instead of shooting it when there's. I mean, there's one time I believe where I got killed. The guy was sitting in the corner. My teammate comes around the corner, seeing that I got killed, and doesn't check the corner. Obviously, he gets killed, which sometimes it's common sense. Sometimes you just don't realize what you're doing, but that's fine. But even if I'm playing with 12-year-olds, they're really smart 12-year-olds. They actually play the objective. Instead of I see it's so many games of domination where it's just a bunch of kill whores, and that I'm not saying that they're a bad thing, but I'm also not saying they're a good thing because it's always annoying when you have that one guy who's just running around with a knife or whatever and just constantly killing somebody, and then they wonder why their team loses. Well, hello, you didn't play the objective, and you believe it or not, one person can change the game around easily. I mean, I've joined games in late where I'll start jumping on flags, my teammates will get the idea. And we'll just start, and we'll go from, I believe, the score will be just like this, and we'll, within the next round and a half, we'll get a comeback. And Battlefield though, here's how I usually play. I don't have a designated role. I really like the engineer class, especially the G36C. That's kind of that, the Scar H and the M4 when they're probably my 3, and the M16A3 from the Assault class, I believe it is. Those are probably my 4 favorite weapons, but the G360 is probably my main. And it just, I'm not the guy who flies jets. I'm still learning. I'm still trying to get used to it. I'm doing good with the helicopters, but I'm usually the guy in the buggy who distracts the tanks while my teammates come in with the freaking jets and just kind of come in and just and take them out. And that feels good because I know, one, I was confusing the enemy because they didn't know what I was doing, and they're trying to focus their tank, giant friggin', I'm not even sure what the size of the barrels are, on me, on my little buggy. I'm doing circles around him, while my buddies are up there in the Super Hueys and the Hornets and just kind of letting all hell break loose. Call of Duty, it's the reason I say that it's even if in team games, you're still every man for yourself. There's really, me and John, we'll play. Usually, if we have a full team going, well, with just our friends, we'll usually have one guy who, especially on like Standoff, Meltdown. There's a couple other maps I'm thinking of. We'll have some people will be up there as snipers. I'm usually the guy running around with the assault rifle. Sometimes I snipe, sometimes I LMG, and that's what I'm saying. I think Call of Duty has a bigger. I think what basically Call of Duty is Battlefield into a simpler form, because you have all the different kinds of guns: the SMGs, the assault rifles, the LMGs, the snipers, the shotguns. So you can play any role you want, and the perks are what also make it play any role you want. You could run around with Flak Jacket and just take explosives all day. You could run around with Tac Mask and not get flashed or stung or whatever for hours on end. But does Call of Duty not being as real compared to Battlefield, which is somewhat real? And here's some of the facts that makes the mechanics of the games different. For one, Call of Duty uses a smaller engine, which I think we all know. Battlefield's maps are huge. I think just probably thank God for the spawn points, but if you couldn't spawn on a person, you'd be hiking all the way from one end to the other. And with Call of Duty, even though they do use a smaller engine, I think that they don't encourage what should be done in realistic games. They don't really. I mean, they have attachments that you see through walls, which I understand the whole futuristic thing. I've used a millimeter scanner myself, But I think there's some parts where your game developers have to draw the line. But anyway, back to the mechanics. Call of Duty has a thing what's known as hit scan, and I must give credit. I did learn this from Drifter, so he didn't. He was talking about he did a whole video. I forgot what video it is, but I must give my credit where it's due. And it's basically, essentially, what it is on your screen it may appear that the bullets, quote quote bullets, are coming out of your gun, but in reality they're coming out of your head. And I know this is kind of weird, it's gonna be confused. That's why you hear the head glitches a lot, which is where you'll see them like where their guns just enough to pop out, and then bang, they get you. Battlefield, on the other hand, they actually have a thing which is known as bullet drop, which for all you guys who don't know that much about weapons, every time you shoot a gun always has a minimum. I believe it's a minimum and maximum. I definitely know they have a maximum yard. And that's why you see they have certain rounds for certain occasions. That's why you hear these snipers in the military getting these mile-and-a-half away kills, because they have the bullet, they have the firepower from that 50 cal, AS-50, whatever, that can pull out such a powerful round and get it that mile-and-a-half away. However, I'm pretty sure those are only like military grade, and it's so hard to get these. But assault rifles, SMGs on your hand. If you look at the P90, if you look at the any pretty much NATO standard assault rifle, the AR-15, the Carbon 15, it's just a 223. There's numerous guns. They have SMGs usually have a medium of a shorter range, and don't get me wrong, they still have rounds that can pierce through armor, but they don't have enough firepower to just keep going on. But anyway, that's a little too much background information. But bullet drop is when you, at a gun's maximum distance, the bullets are going to begin to drop, and that's why if you shoot, this is a lot easier seeing with the rocket launchers in Battlefield. If you shoot a small, you're aiming for a tank far away, just aim a little bit above it, because the rocket's going to naturally curve down, which is what you just kind of see. I mean, that's what the way gravity and physics just work. Call of Duty, on the other hand, I think they just program the rockets to go wherever they want to program it to go. I was in Mirage and I shot some guy with the small across the map, and the thing went up. And last time I checked, gravity doesn't work. It doesn't pull us to the ceiling. I thought it pulled us to the ground. That's why I'm sitting on my chair making this commentary. And I think that's where realism in video games really takes a toll on how the game is really played, because in Battlefield it takes so much more teamwork, and you have to really think. It's a bit more of a military simulator, because you have to really think through where your opponent's going to be, how the bullet's going to land. In Call of Duty, you can just kind of run around and spray and pray. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this commentary. Happy Friday, and have a good weekend, guys. I'm out of here. Peace.
You see his fire card?